Hi everyone, I'm back, and this time there's a little break in the films. Captain Marvel last week, and I'm waiting for the premiere of Jordan Peele's Us, which comes out this week. So in between, I thought I'd catch up with what I've been doing with books, but also I'll mention a little bit of TV that I've been watching as well. So last time, which was quite a while ago, I was talking about two books that I was reading, and they were The Children of Lovecraft, an anthology edited by Ellen Datlow, seems to edit everything these days. And I found this quite a strong anthology, actually. The interesting thing is, it says Children of Lovecraft, and I think that is slightly misleading because this isn't really Lovecraftian as much as it's just interesting, weird fiction. And I know that's probably splitting hairs, but it does make a difference because I often buy these anthologies because I'm a big Lovecraftian fan and have read tons of stuff. And there is a bit of comfort food feeling of reading something really set probably in the Lovecraftian mythos. Whereas this is just interesting, weird fiction. And by far the best entry in it is by the perennial Laird Baron, who always comes up with the strangest of stuff. And the reason I'm looking down, Oblivion Mode, I thought was the strongest entry because it was just so weird. But actually this is, mostly when I review an anthology, it's hard because you've got some hits and real misses. This is generally way more hits and I think hardly any misses, even if they're average. Now, the other book that I read was the classic, The Haunting of Hill House by the genius Shirley Jackson. And the reason why I read it, because I've read it before, was because of the Netflix series. So this is a little bit old now, but it took me a while to catch up. And this book is just absolutely fantastic. And it's often rated as the scariest book, scariest ghost story, certainly. And I don't think it is that scary. What is interesting about it is, for the time it was written, is that it set up this really quite perennial plot where you visit a haunted house, but because she invested so much in the psychological makeup of the characters, that had not really been done before. So as the events unfold, you are really trapped with the narration, which is unreliable at times, and you are seeing things through various eyes, and especially through Eleanor's eyes, who is really the main protagonist in the end in the book. And it's absolutely fantastic and much better on second reading, which is not a usual thing, especially for a story which has got a horror or supernatural element, because you think you already know the ending. I'm just going to read the first paragraph because if you've never read it and you hear this first paragraph, you will go out and buy it the next day. It's just brilliant. So please indulge me. No live organism can continue for long to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality. Even larks and katydids are supposed by some to dream. Hill House, not sane, stood by itself against its hills, holding darkness within. It had stood so for 80 years, and might stand for 80 more. Within, walls continued upright, bricks met neatly, floors were firm, and doors were sensibly shut. Silence lay steadily against the wood and stone of Hill House, and whatever walked there walked alone. Now, famously, not giving anything away, that is the last paragraph of the book, with maybe one minor change. And yet the complete context of when you read it at the beginning and read it at the end changes completely. She is a genius, Shirley Jackson, and There's numerous other stories we could talk about. They're all good. Now, while I've got this here, if you don't have time to read it or you've read it a long time ago and don't think you need to, you should watch the Netflix TV series. And the reason why I say this, I haven't got all my notes and who made it and who stars in it. But I will say this, normally when I watch anything on Netflix, I use the Netflix formula, which is N-2. And it means that if there's 8 episodes, there should be 6. If there's 6 episodes, it should be 4. You get the idea. Most episodes, if they're 60 minutes, they should be 40 minutes. There's always just a little bit too much fat. Now in this 10 episode series, there was not any fat. I wanted to watch all of them, and what they do is they take the bones of the original book and they don't want to tell that story. That story probably can't even be told. It's been told. Robert Wise made a film of it in the 60s. It really is quite good and actually quite daring at the time, because it does kind of lean into that one of the characters is gay, which is kind of daring at the time. This series has to then reinvent it, and it does so great by shifting the time scales. So you have the before and after from children who grow up in that house for a short time anyway, and then how they are scarred by it. So it looks into all these kind of things. You can look at it as a deliberation on the grief process, and the characters are really interesting. Everyone has their own story. Look, that's about it. Just really, if you're into horror or any good TV, psychological TV, watch Netflix's The Haunting of Hill House. And they're going to make a sequel, but it's not going to be a sequel. It's going to be The Turning of the Screw. Now, I'm not that big a fan of Turning of the Screw. I find that a lot more laboured, but I trust these guys to turn that into something great. Now, to finish off, what am I reading and what I'll talk about next time? And that is The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. Now, it's funny how some books just go to the top of your bookshelf and your reading pile. And this is one of those. And it was because I really just felt like an epic fantasy drama. And this had got a lot of early buzz. And as you can see, I'm probably 100 or so pages into it. Look, it's well written. The world building seems really good. She's set up her chess pieces, and it'll be interesting to see where they go with it, because at the moment I'm just starting to stall a little bit, and I'm hoping it'll come together. But I'm going to talk about it next time. So that's it for books. Doing tons of stuff here, always with movies and TV and books. So if you like what I'm doing, press like, hit the little bell, and then you always know when I've got new stuff, probably weekly. And I'm on Twitter, @GrewEden. And I'll talk to you then. Bye.